guys, welcome to today's video. Today we are taking a look at Westman Atelier's newest product, which is Vital Skincare Dewy Foundation Drops. And it looks like this. Beautiful packaging. So this is a creamy kind of color, not quite white. And this is that slightly rosy color, and I think it probably matches her foundations kind of thing. Little gold right here. It is a dropper, as described. Always elegant, beautiful, refined packaging from this brand. Very small, look at that. And I thought, wow, this is less product than my other foundations. But I looked it up, and it's not. It's 1 ounce. So it's about the same, but it just looks like it's not. Let me tell you a little bit about it. I may or may not have to put on my glasses. What it is, a next generation hydrating skin tint packed with serum strength actives to visibly improve skin texture, firmness, and radiance drop by drop. I have thoughts on that. I'm wearing it. I think it's a little bit more than a skin tint. And here they're saying medium coverage, radiant finish, and it's for normal to dry skin. But I have thoughts on that as well, but we'll get to them at the end. Their highlights are tsubaki oil, which they say firms, hydrates, and retexturizes the skin. Ginseng extract, which brightens, revitalizes, and soothes skin. And pomegranate extract neutralizes free radicals and supports healthy looking skin. Let's get into the ingredients. The very first ingredient is not water. It is squalene. Now you know that this is a clean brand and it's cruelty free, so we're not going to see junk in here. So I'm just going to call out, rather than the texturizers and emulsifiers and carriers, I'm going to talk about the other stuff. Squalene, water, and avocado oil. I'm not going to read the Latin. Pomegranate seed oil, mica. Now mica is a magical ingredient that I spoke about recently when I was speaking about the Weiss Foundation, and I will link that right here. Again, a skin tint. But mica gives this reflective, pearlized quality to whatever you apply it to, generally the skin. Mica, done correctly, can give you this beautiful, ethereal, is that really your skin? You have beautiful skin kind of look. Years ago, the only thing I did that was good for my skin was an antioxidant. I couldn't handle C, so I did something called Privage MD, which I think is still around, but I got the strength that you get at the doctor's office. And I would put this on and think, gosh, my skin looks so nice. I guess I don't need to do anything else. But it wasn't the nutritive value to it. It was the mica. At that time, I really didn't know anything about ingredients and about skincare, and I just thought my skin looked great. It's beautiful in this case. I'm beginning to get on the edge of sweaty, so the radiance may change, but let's continue on. Camellia seed oil, that's tsubaki, by the way. Propendile, sunflower seed oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, sweet almond oil, wheat germ oil, corn oil, rice extract. Rice extract actually can be quite brightening. It's used a lot in Japanese skincare. And ginger root extract at the very, very bottom. So nothing wrong with these ingredients. I think a lot of people might listen to what I'm saying and think, not for me. It doesn't feel greasy. Now I remember when Kosas came out with their foundation that was an oil based, and so too did Ilia, and I didn't like the texture of either of those. It felt greasy and it felt hard to work with, and the colors also were kind of abysmal. This color is too, by the way. It's not as yellow to me as her foundation in two. So let's do a little comparison and see if the colors are a little bit different, because that one, I feel a little bit like it's not a good color for me. Actually, it's the 3 that isn't a great color for me. So I'm going to put the 3 on one side, and I feel that it's a little too yellow for me. And then I'll do the 2 on the other side. 3 and 2, and this is the 2 in the liquid foundation. So those are the colors. I also feel like this is a little too light. I can't really use this one all over my face, but I feel like this one I can. Maybe because it's a little bit more sheer? I don't know. Now they also say that you can go with these sticks to cover any blemishes or redness or something extra that you have, but I feel like I'm completely covered. I feel like the skin looks beautiful, it feels very comfortable, and let's get into day 1. You guys, it's about 2 weeks later, even a little bit more. I shot this on September 1, 2, and 4. And during that period of time, it was nearly 100 degrees and quite humid every single day. So while that's a good test for those of you who live in warmer climates or humid climates, I wanted to come in and let you know a couple of things. One, I have been wearing this almost exclusively since I've shot this. A couple of times I've used a couple of different things. I have also used this with other things. So for today, I am wearing the Le Beige Complexion Touch and this. 2 pumps of this, 2 drops of this. This helps to lighten this up, which is a good shade for me right now, but it won't be come fall, and I really do like that. And I've also mixed it with the Charlotte Tilbury. So the Charlotte Tilbury is a bit thick, and I love this. I wear it a lot. Excuse me, I just dropped something, which is what I do. But this, I thought, let's see if I can lighten this up a little bit. And it did lighten it up a little bit. So by itself or with a mixer, you'll see at the end what my thoughts are, but I've just kind of given it away a little bit. I also want to tell you a little bit about my skin before we go further, because your skin may vary. I'm 60 years old and my skin is on the drier side, which means I don't produce oils really much at all. I've never been oily. I don't have flaky skin, but it is dry. My skin never feels tight, but it doesn't feel moisturized, if that makes sense at all. So it's no longer producing collagen and ceramides and hyaluronic acid and all the things that keep the skin plump and youthful. I'm not producing anymore. You should also know that my skin doesn't eat foundation. I know for a lot of women foundation breaks up. Usually that's women who have oily skin. Most foundations last on me for a long, long time unless I'm egregiously sweating, and then they don't. I also try to keep in mind other skin types aside from my own. So if you have oily skin, keep on watching. This might work for you. And now let's get into day 1. Shake it up. There we go. It's a bit runny. And the fan is on because I don't want to sweat while I'm putting on my makeup. The first day I use the finger application. It's my favorite application, and I think it's intuitive with this particular formula. There is a scent to this. It's not scented though. It's hard to explain. But it's just, it's not offensive. It's just the ingredients. So for concealer, I'm going to go in with my By Terry. And so far, I actually don't mind it. A really nice kind of no makeup. It evens out all my redness. Okay, that's not bad at all. This is like, oh gee, almost like it's healthy skin. I do feel that it is a little too shiny, and it's setting up already, except where I'm sweating about my temples. I'm just going to pat, which sometimes helps things out. Doesn't really look like anything on the skin, and while I was concerned about this color, I don't think I had any reason to be concerned. I think it melds well enough. So I thought we'd do a little powder, and we're going to go on with her powder. I have it in the pink shade, and I'm just going to powder down this, which I usually don't, because I really want to get an idea of what it looks like. And sometimes shine will distract your eye. So, conclusions for day one so far. Very easy to apply. You don't need a lot. A little goes a long way. The coverage, I would say, is a light medium, and it's fine. It gives me enough evening out. It accepts the powder very well. The color, surprisingly, not anything for me to be worried about. You know, this powder is not really mattifying, so there's still a little bit of sheen here. But I do like the idea of having something like this on hand when I just have to run out to do something. I don't want to do a full face of makeup, but I want to look a little bit less tragic. I use the super loaded Peau de Santé on my eyes and cheeks. Then a little contouring with the contour stick in Biscuit and a beauty blender. Alright, so this is going to have to conclude day one because it's getting really bad. It's like 90 degrees, it's 10:30 in the morning. Day one, I've told you what I think. Let's go on to day two. Alright, you guys, I think I'm going to end up doing a 3-day wear test on this. Yesterday, it did feel a little bit dry, not going to lie. I did put a lot of powder on, and I think that's why. So today I'm doing a different sunscreen, and that is the Tatcha Silk, which is a mineral sunscreen, but I'm still shiny. I still start with a shiny base. Just my skincare before I even put on my sunscreen is shiny. So that's me. Here we go, shaken up again, and this time I'm not going to pepper because I want to see if this is actually drying on me or if it was just the powder. 2, 3, 4 drops. Day two, same application with fingers. It's working very nicely with the Tatcha, which I've had on for maybe 10 minutes, and I really, really like this still. Now I feel like, oh, we'll see what the color looks like once I put it in the camera, but looking here in real life, a teeny bit too light for me, but nothing to get upset about. And even though the undertone is a little bit yellow, it's not egregiously yellow. So I am liking. I'm going to take whatever is on the tip here, which isn't much, and see if I can actually go without concealer. I think I can. I kind of feel like I look like my skin is super, super nice. There's no streaks, there's no anything. I do feel that I don't know if I want to go on with powder products quite yet. So let's go in with the Merit bronzer, which I really like because it's so subtle. It did not get this wet. And this will help with the shade, you know, kind of matching up to everything else. Yeah, I think just this little bit kind of takes the edge off of how it's a teeny bit too light for me. Very nice. There's no issues at all, but creams I think would be easier until this sets down a little bit. Again, I used the Biscuit contour, but this time I applied it directly to the face. And with the jelly bits, I think I'll just do with the fingers. No problem at all. Let's do the fingers with this too. Okay, now I'm going to come back in 10 minutes and we'll see if this has set up anymore. I have a feeling it might take a little bit more than that because I did have, you know, my sunscreen on as well. But definitely want to try it with some powder products. Back in a flash. Alright, it's 10 minutes later and, you know, best laid plans. It's getting hotter and hotter, so how am I going to really give this a fair test? I'm starting to sweat a little bit. There. I think it looks really pretty. I do. And I like the idea. I did put on mascara, I did put on some liner, so now it looks a little bit more makeup-y, but I like the idea that I didn't have to. I could have gone without the liner and the mascara, and it would have just made my skin look perfected. I just looked in the mirror and I thought, under the eyes, that's probably going to move, because it's not a concealer per se. So I am going to go in with the teeniest bit of my By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder, just to kind of set that, because We don't want that to move. I'm really tempted to just put this powder all over my face to see. Just a little bit. I'm cheating. But the other powder I put all over my face, the Westman Atelier powder, I'm just doing it at the teeniest bit. Talk about best laid plans. Soup. You can see, I'm not really taking off much of the sheen. But, okay, now I'm going to be back in a flash. Okay, today is day 3. I will say yesterday was actually day 3, but I didn't shoot it. And it's been so hot here that, yes, I am wearing a wet t-shirt, which is genius. It's totally keeping me cool. It'll probably be dry by the time we're done. I've done my skincare and my sunscreen, and it's been a solid half hour. Today I am wearing the Tula, and again, I'm going to shake it up, and we're going to do 3 more drops. Yesterday used a different concealer instead of using this, and I honestly like this, because if I'm going for a more natural look, a concealer under the eye that is a lighter color calls attention to itself, and it just doesn't look quite right. Oh, you know what? I want to try. Okay, I'm going to try the Lancome. So this is shade 215. Looks like this, and it's a lovely light texture as opposed to all the creamy textures we've been seeing lately. And I'm just going to use the teeniest bit, and I'll use my fingers since I didn't get my beauty blender down. That looks good. That looks better than this eye. Now I really kind of want to try some powder blush and powder bronzer and that kind of stuff, but I do feel that this formula needs a little bit of time to set up, and more time than I'm willing to give it because I'm fighting against the heat. It's supposed to be 101 today. Yay! So I am going to go in with some cream products, and I'm going to go in with Westman Atelier products. So I have 2 blushes here, and I'm going to mix them and then blend it with the other finger that doesn't have anything on it. So pretty. It works perfectly, which is so nice. Sometimes I think we've all experienced buying one thing from a brand and then another thing with a brand, and they're things you would think would be formulated to work like magic together, and they don't. This works like magic together. Let's do the bronzer. We'll just pick it up straight from here. I'm not going to do a lot. This is Brulee, which is actually a lit up stick. It can be on darker skin tone. This can be your highlighter. Maybe a little here. Whatever's left over here. Look at that! I happen to love this brand. This is one of my favorite brands. I hate to do favorites because it's just too much of a commitment for me. But when this brand comes out with something, I'm always interested. All right, you guys, so what do I think? That's 3 days that you've seen me apply, and I had another day where I applied that I didn't shoot. I think it's beautiful. I think it's not too much mica. I think, yes, you could powder it, or you could leave it alone. If you start with, for instance, a sunscreen that is not shiny, you might be fine with the radiance that you get from this. If you have skin on the drier side, I'd be very careful with how much powder you're doing. I found that her powder, I kind of pounded it on to really come close to actually being matte, and it was too much. My skin felt dry at the end of the day. The day that I didn't wear any, I didn't feel like I was too shiny. I didn't feel greasy looking, and it lasted fine, and it did not feel drying. Now I know there's a lot of oils in this, and some of you might say, well, why would it feel drying? Because some oils actually are drying, believe it or not. But this one is not. However, they say it's for normal to dry skin, and I would say that if you have oily skin, because squalene is a skin identical, and it has the potential, well, they say that it helps to balance your skin. So if your skin is dry, it helps to balance that. And if your skin is oily, it helps to balance that because it signals to the skin, you're fine, you don't need to produce more oil. If you have oily skin, you might like this, unless it's very, very oily. You might like this, but you might want to powder it down, maybe with her powder, and you'll be fine. For me, I feel fine with this radiance. Might be a little bit too much, almost glass skin, but it feels incredibly, incredibly comfortable. It's quite beautiful. It's really small, easy to pack. I feel like it's more than a skin tint, and it just feels lovely, lovely, lovely on my skin. And for me, this is a huge thumbs up. I just think I look pretty and fresh, and you would never know that I'm on to day 4 of nearly 100-degree temperatures without air conditioning. That's all I got. And that's it. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope you come back again. Until we meet again, be safe and smart. And I'm wishing you good health.